for interview, now be the 5th. But this not be right.
This not be right because, according to Anti-Corruption Commission, the former caretaker and lawyer been asked say let them give them another date because that weekly now be the former caretaker in back day.
The second popular date now be the 8th, but speculations have been go around. The interview or the arrest them.
Rumors them, as you say the interview. Some say they even hide them inside Motoka for Kanguna Anti-Corruption Office. But this one been happen so we could tell you how it been tallied the rest of the day. But not just that. You know say the Commission of Inquiry, from the start to the finish, the leader for the People's Movement for Democratic Change, when I Charles Magai, they ask inside one letter to the caretaker say, Pa, almost una spend by the Commission of Inquiry.
Other people have been come and say, you not supposed for ask that question to the caretaker.
Then say, and for Senate, now the Attorney General and Minister of Justice in office. Not gonna say, when they come back, Krishna.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. To the bell option, press this one with all. And done. And no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for we don help me for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.
Welcome back. This is your program. We are, as you always say, we will not be knowing for almost Saturday, but now that they see we different days because our things that they enter our basket from we are. Now so we said they give them to una. So no doubt if you see we post any other day inside the week.
Today Saturday. They say today na cowboy day. Una cool? Kushemu. Me name na Aliyu.
And me, na Justin.
Today, me and Justin go come bad na yaso. I know say not go easy.
Look up. Una no say for any moment to hold on before una I always the defeater.
But wait, as the tension be they go on inside McKinney, right in front of the former caretaker in host, when they go for go interview, the tension be same way so they na the social media.
You doubt? You not go doubt of farm. Why you know say now the social media we get the red house and the green house.
Well, let me just share to now so the system where them be they discuss as the interview be they ready and taking momentum.
Well, give me what you get before we release me.
This first one come out from Chernobyl where they represent the Pan-Africanist movement. He say Marabio and his group have spent almost 3 years of a 5-year mandate on a political fight they can't win. Interesting. Wait till this make a member when they talk about ghost teacher. Now so other people in the graph say the former Minister of Education run after ghost teacher and say a turn ghost. What you get it?
You know na Isabi. We now listen to the other one. Wake up from one with brother when a Tunde Scott. He say if ACC was sent to investigate, then why wasting billions of we the taxpayers' money on the inquiry? You not happy. He continue to say, so you are still after your main targets.
Which one are the targets now?
Well, we don't know if na the red or na other color, but for here we know say na the red.
Now go to the other one. This other one say, the minister, the deputy minister of internal affairs, Lawrence Lima, say a good citizen complies and cooperates with law enforcement. It's a failure to do so negates statesmanship. The next step takes precedence. Okay. Normally, this is one of the pioneers. You know that name?
We all know.
In Blue Eye Boy.
Everybody know we are.
If you see Lionel Lima come and talk this, must know waiting the bar get for say.
I once you don't receive call from the bar.
No, they don't discuss.
Well, it's still not up there. We get one other one. We come up for one with brother. When Ernest Koroma. He say, you go, you not go, you dey pay the country. In money, even the Sokobana cannot save you.
Indeed, we see the Sokobanas, the Oje, and the other one they been come out. They go team up in front of the caretaker in the month. But that continue. Now listen, waiting, Chernobyl say, as you don't talk about that day. He said, McKinney residents, we are not defending corruption. They only wanted to show that they can't be intimidated by state violence. This is like that what they can say. Enough is enough.
Oh,
you don't do it.
Yeah, the sweets.
I'm telling you, you don't do it when the people are bounce. Then they come back.
Well, this na in the go on now we are. We get other one. When Abdul Karim Fonti Kabia, he come and tell me say, sad day for law and order inside we are.
Simply, it is time to talk about the kind standoff that McKinney and the investigation or the questioning we're not able for right. Well, it's indeed a very sad day for see all of them things that actually happen. But not top deal. The one safe we get infect. The one we get in case. When I the former caretaker, he not be left below a car. Now tweet. He said, I remain committed to the peace and security of our beloved country and will continue to do everything to support the fair process of the rule of law. He said, I want this interview with the ACC to go on today by all possible peaceful means. Ernest Koroma.
Well, that now the former caretaker. Now we are. When they supposed to go ask question, when people have they speculate say, then they go for go arrest them. Instead come out with this say, in okay with any question where the ACC they come for can ask them.
The question when he go ask, if they really mean what he say, this are some things them where will they come and discuss. And the other question will be, what is next for the ACC and the former caretaker?
Well, we dey open with age and open with eye for listening to waiting, get for come up behind that as Ernest Lima don't come and give in your statement like say he don't receive phone call from caretaker.
Nice boy, I don't tell you nice blue eye boy. But anyway, let me go now inside McKinney. Let me see how that particular surrounding, also the former caretaker, day, how it interact. Now first of all, watch this video of the people where they go in and out of the area. You see, I interact. People they really come in numbers for come team up behind the caretaker for SEPA. You don't own the country, we did the you. Well, you get other set of people that will say, nah, I do this when I did pass. When I forgot come out they go do what? I don't know how to land. As you can see now.
You for no say we are a full of drama.
So, Nainato, and not be tap do. As this been they go on, what they may they go around say this happen, but we see outside a team of policemen them, two sets of police being come inside to the first caretaker in place. But guess what?
I see something be happen where the Sokobana and other people stop the people not for go na the bar.
Well, not even the Sokobana them. The just the people them. Now they can't map and say they motukano they enter under for tomba.
Well, you see, I don't know as we talk to people what do you feel say it creates all this tension inside we are just for go ask the former caretaker questions them we need for answer.
I think two things, in your honest opinion, two things responsible for the tension. Number one, because of that last thing maybe happened at McKinney, when they go take that generator and end up for make people lost their life. This now one of the main reasons we make people not trust the process. Especially the one in the northern part of the country, so no ever trust this government again when it comes to police and them. But honestly, for me, I think say the police them been here on top of the game on Thursday. Why? Because we see who said the people and team up before they say una not they go, una toba. Peacefully they turn them to car and then they go back. We don't see any enforcement, no nothing. That's that.
Well, this all not tell me of the same thing there where we can tinap naya they talk where people they come and cause we. If them people they are not don't make things them fearful now here, this not a minor issue where they for just don't go and interview the former caretaker and forget about that.
That's the one. If you talk about dialogue, I think this government, the foreign affairs minister say the government believes in dialogue, constructive dialogue and all of these things. But we see all of that missing now. Interestingly, the Commission of Inquiry do not ever invite them formally. Now one. Then number two, the issue of this, even this ACC business. Now listen to this interview quick, where one of the defense lawyer then for the former caretaker been doing a 19.1, where they come back just now.
All right. Una team of lawyers then be done day in talks with the Anti-Corruption Commission from the tell then send invitation say they want for interview a client for sake alleged corruption issues them with the ACC they investigate them for and self-executive clearance they would then say it been give the same way in have been president and when have been finally be agree yesterday saying at the date where the Anti-Corruption Commission for go interview the first term president at the McKinney office. First of all, what will be happen where the decision been changed, not for go na the ACC McKinney office?
First of all, make this very clear. Issues of accountability in public office are non-negotiable. And this na a message where the former president, we client, perfectly understand. And he don't talk him before, he don't repeat him, and he don't repeat him again. And he don't ask me for tell the people of Sierra Leone that he is ready to be held accountable and answer to the people of Sierra Leone for his stewardship of his presidency for the 10 year when the 2 term when he be president for. That is one. And now coming to your question, of course, ACC gets far-reaching powers. Make nobody make any mistake about that. I have served as a prosecutor there for 5 years and commissioner for 2 years. And I would tell you, say, investigations have different ways in which they carry them out. And make people not feel, say, now special treatment that they give to the former president. No, not at all. I mean, we don't get ordinary people in the past and even at present. We are being investigated, but for one reason or the other, we they use a different location because no one made in Canada the ACC for arouse public attention. You know, I want to make everybody calm down and make we look at the reality of things. You know, it was unfortunate that former President Koroma get for no say the ACC want to talk to her through social media. Make her ask this question. What if the ACC be quietly called the former president in reality? We want to talk to our client. And we relay that message and advise clients to talk to.
The ACC not be officially send invites to the first term president because you say that through social media it be gets for no say the ACC want for interview.
Just allow me make her finish me which I say. Thank you. As I say now through social media, what if they be go through the lawyers? We convey the message to former President Koroma and say, you know, ACC want to talk to him with the advice, say, make you talk to them because they get the power for them. And we do it quietly, then ACC come out later with the press release. We don't talk to the former president regarding this, and we they continue with investigation. I sure say if this be happen, my colleague Ibrahim to me, nobody in our studio to talk about this. But anyway, that is water under the bridge. This is not the first time. Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara investigated a sitting vice president, former vice president Sam Sumana. We got an interview in my office. It was the same thing with myself when I was there. I interviewed former Vice President Victor Fo. What did I do? I call him, I say, Pa, this and this and this, now we they look at, and we want to talk to you. And we not feel say we office at the best place for Canada because of the kind of investigations what they do. Also, you feel say will be comfortable for you and will be secure for we own staff them for make we interview. So when I come to my office, we send people and they talk to her, and only after we don't talk to her, we come out to the public, say we don't obtain statement from former Vice President. We not just stop there. We go now State House and we go now former Vice President's office, seize computer and documents them, can and go down now the ACC. For me, it is the approach. But again, I am happy that the team of lawyers representing former President Ernest Koroma don't get a dialogue, a fruitful dialogue with the Anti-Corruption Commission yesterday. And the way forward, we will continue for talk button, and I believe, say, the interview will take place in the near future without any incident. Don't forget, we were ready yesterday for get this interview going. It was unfortunate that you get a crowd of young men then we obstruct access to the former vice president, to the former president in residence. But again, we as a legal team, we do what we be able to do for make sure make the able to talk to the former president of the republic. What do we do? First of all, we offer
them young man then they will be block the road yesterday. We make the investigator they not been get access to the first term president. You know been things say on a client for we don't come on a door and talk to them. That's for we don't make them get access to the ACC investigator then for go inside and conduct the interview.
Make I tell you something. You know, I don't want to get into the issue of whether former President Koroma is responsible for what happened yesterday, whether I don't put out a statement or not. What it will be of paramount importance to the ACC is that they obtain a statement from the former vice president. And this was what we did. We talked to them and said, look, we as lawyers, because we understand some other lawyers, they even then at the team. We go put on the same vehicle, we say every day. And we go inside to the former vice president. If we are safe, you will be safe. The next option where we get there was that, well, when I say on one state security, there is a contingent of a state security personnel stationed in the residence of the former vice president, headed by Assistant Inspector, Superintendent of Police Ibrahim. He go and talk to the MUC in McKinney and even go to the ACC, say, make it able to come with million police vehicles, with investigators there inside the vehicle and drive through. You will be safe. But again, ACC gets the way in which then they assess their own security. Maybe they know what we don't know. So I'm not going to condemn them, say why they're not good with all their fire. But again, are they able to assess the security threat and level? And I cannot judge them on that. You know, on the issue of the
people
police,
they expect say on a clients for we don't come out yesterday, consider in position as a statesman, and a one person we always don't remember Sierra Leone people and say it committed for protect the peace and security of the people them they expect and say if I come out with a statement and condemn the incident.
Well, to be honest with you, it's rich coming from a lot of people. We don't get violent incidences then at this country where they kill people that will know nothing come up from government. That is the first thing. And secondly, President Koroma gets in PR team. Then we'll deal with that one day. The point why they try to make is this. I want to say thank you to the Sierra Leone police force yesterday for the restraint with the exercise. Because surely, if they be said that they go there with force, probably we'll not talk about the ACC investigation today. We'll talk about waiting the happen, waiting for them be the aftermath of police action. And yesterday we continuously dialogue with the Inspector General of Police to the point that we make he and former President Koroma talk. And I am also happy to report that former President Koroma and Francis Ben Kaifala get a telephone discussion on the way forward yesterday. We just want to make everybody calm down. The ACC will talk to former President Ernest Koroma. It will happen. And he will agree to talk to them. Make everybody just calm down. Sometimes the public reaction, pundit, na studios there, they make the thing worsen. And I'll tell you something, Mabel. The issue of investigations now issues them way very, very, very critical. And sometimes the element of surprise, very important. If only we do this thing quietly, nobody not for even know say ACC want to talk to President Koroma until after they don't talk to him. But as I say, there are dialogues going on, and I believe the interview will take place without incident.
Well, now this we get from Adi Macaulay. This for tell we say government in, government out, meaning we get for pay respect to we all. The same seat where you occupy today, you get for move there tomorrow, where other person they can sit on it. And they try for tell you say, if really we forgot ban law, then people are for send official letter to the former caretaker, because now man, we don't old, we had for quite a long time. But if you get for go ask former caretaker questions them, where of course we almost say you need for answer to, we no need forget the information now the social media as to waiting the different tell me.
But you know, when they talk about the standoff now, the McKinney, for me, in your personal opinion, I'm not being feel say that they be too necessary, but I know say other people and get their own views on that. It not being too necessary. And I been feel say when that standoff they go, if honestly like what the former caretaker say, he willing for answer the question them or for meet with ACC, if we don't come and pull word to the people there, because I know say it no waiting they happen at all.
Yes,
you know,
course.
if we don't pull word say okay, now we set up the anti-corruption commission, let them come and do their work. We don't get any problem. Then we come back and go serve peaceful and just want to get me inside. That's what make the people they don't relax. But again, like what we been talk today, just know the people they don't get tired. The people they don't trust the process again. That and even if the former caretaker will come out and say that day, although they get respect for them, but if for the system, some other people for say no, we not agree. Yeah, we only there.
Well, there is a proverb where tell you say, where pistol miss for drop you down. If you hear Christmas banger, balance. Because of the same sound they all get.
But the issue of accountability inside Riyadh, I think is very key. It don't matter who that, yeah? This is not question and answer. You guilty or not guilty. If you guilty, this is not what you get for this. If you're not guilty, you are free. But the question again they go, is this a political harassment or now sort of accountability? Help me down in the comment section with your honest opinion. But I'll show you this. As the tension will mount on first day around the former caretaker in post, let me see how inside the talent they've been peacefully, not talent itself and the people every day and cause problem. Look watch this video.
Through the Associate Global Media Network tagmen as Voice of Local Media Empire, we dey inside the former president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, when Dr. Ernest Koroma and compound as allegations and fake lie news they go around at the social media say it don't go na the ACC office. Now fake na lie there and on true message. When we can see a coverage of the power we deal with stakeholders and at the APC. Now, VOR Voice of Local Media Empire Ambassador Constituency 111. Now, so we the end updates through the tag media inside the house of the former president, Dr. Ernest Koroma, for condemn and of course debunk the fake lie news where they go around on social media. As soon as all on see right way and they discuss with the 2018 presidential candidates and of course the minority leader in our parliament, members from the APC party and the legal team of the All People's Congress Party, JFK, and of course other lawyers them na the APC. Voice of Local Media Empire.
Well,
whose information is this?
This na it happen inside the former caretaker he owes us. The Allah and other thing them be they happen nado.
Justin, I get something for tell we people them. when you watch me now, whether APC or SLPP, not kill yourself for politician. You know why? The former caretaker, some of we feel say, because na APC ide, na that make, then they go after her. Some of we again feel say, because he don't do this kind of bad thing, na he make, then they run after her. Well, whatever the case may be, when the former caretaker be they enjoy, now the same kind of laugh, you saw they enjoy inside, very quiet and they smile and waiting. If anything they happen, now the ordinary people then, they suffer the blunt of the penalty.
That's right.
If they inside in place, it's very secure. No flight just not go inside, it's really place big. Nobody, all that they did now, the big one there. And very interestingly, if anything they happen, then they get security back when they can guide them, when government security. So most of the time, then we people like us, what we call we politicians, they can sit down and then table them over things and laugh over with young ignorance. Then they sit down and then table them, laugh over certain things that even the caretaker when they talk to, the kind they make pop now do. But they get who side and they meet. We may not say the time when the former caretaker be in power, when they as opposition, retired Julius Marabio, then we see eye to eye, then they sit down, they begin to talk, laugh, and all of them things that they. So, waiting at the thing right now, the enjoyment when they enjoy now, they no more enjoy. So, why you kill yourself, over politician? You get for know what you do and think twice. We don't need for labor on this thing. We talk just now about this accountability. The government say the former government will be accountable. Now Charles Magai don't come and say ACC. The government inside the commission of inquiry, they don't even forgive almost and spend it. Now they don't come and begin to say no to him. You might follow this in this discussion.
Well, since they only talk about the same accountability, in as much as you need other person to account to you, if other person asks you self, you need to give an account to the person, because now we all right inside we are. So if we say, what the Charles Magai call for, now the right for make it do.
Then let me take this discussion. As AYV, they put people in together when they talk about the commission of inquiry, where they come back just now.
Welcome back to Wake Up Sierra Leone. Now we're going to talk about the leader of the People's Movement for Democratic Change, Charles Francis Magai, who has questioned how much money was spent into the Commission of Inquiry. Now he was seeking clarifications from government on how much they spent on the salaries and allowances for the commissioners, and how paid to the state councils, among other things. So this morning, to discuss this issue, we have in the studio Mohamed El Ba, a member of the Ministry of Information's Strategic Communications Unit. We also have with us Solomon Sundu, founder for B Foundation. And we have in our studio too Lawrence Williams, a media analyst. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, Sundufu of the Bianchi Foundation.
Right.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Now, I would first start with you, Solomon Sundufu. Now, what do you make of Charles Magai's questions? Are they relevant? Is it vital for the people of Sierra Leone to know these details? How much was spent in the commissions of inquiry?
Yeah, thank you very much, Antonia. I think it's a step in the right direction. And as much as the new direction government, their premise, their campaign message is bent on transparency, fighting corruption, So if they set up the commissions of inquiry to probe into the past administration of what they did, how they spent people's money, our money, if the white paper and the report is out now, I think it's right, and we accept the call from Francis Magai that the people need to know, in as much as we are talking of transparency. And this government, their campaign message resonates with people that if you are coming into power, we want to see, because the all administration which people voted out because of corruption, we want to see how you people are managing our resources at this point in time. So for us, it's very good for transparency, and we indulge the government to come out and explain how much was spent, how they spent the money. I think we are all in support of that.
Let me just ask Lauren's opinion in Studio 2 there. Do you stand with Solomon Sundufu?
I very much agree with Solomon Sundu. Because when you look at the questions being asked, these are pertinent questions. They are very critical, but also very necessary to be asked at this time to ensure that the process which the government set up to hold the previous government accountable is in itself accountable to the people of Sierra Leone. So it's no misnomer that Charles Francis Magai acted smart enough, to put pen to paper, pressing on the government to now tell us, how much was spent. And there's one thing again, he's asking how much the government intends to retrieve or recover from persons of interest. So we'll be able to balance the scale to see whether money spent and those recovered, could actually cover the cost and all of that stuff. So these are questions I think the government should not shy away from, and it's the responsibility of government, by virtue of the right to access information law, to actually make those information available. In fact, I guess the government probably out of, should I say, a lapse on their part, they should or could have actually included that one in the report, that XYZ was spent and all of that stuff. But these are very good questions, and the public, in fact, before this time, there have been hue and cry on social media, mainstream media as well, for government to come out and explain how much was spent. The actual cost of the whole commissions of inquiry, how much was paid to the judges, how much was paid to state prosecutors, because remind you, the COI itself indicted the legal profession, few individuals, Basma and Macaulay and few others, for, according to the report, that they collected more money than they were supposed to collect as per their contractual agreement to represent the state in a matter between the state versus Samsumana and ECOWAS court. So we don't want the government, the same COI that indicted, lawyers for actually, in their view, being overpaid, committing the same offense again, overpaying state prosecutors at the COI.
All right, and now let's hear from Mohammed Elba. You've heard the position of the media analyst and, and also social and political analyst here on the issue of Charles Magai's question. So what's the position of the government on this? Do you have any plans to put out the records to show how much was spent on the commissions of inquiry?
Thank you very much. Good morning to viewers. First off, I think it is prudent for us to establish the fact that, it is his right to request for such information from the government. However, from the government perspective, we think he should have actually addressed that particular letter to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. It was unwise of him to actually address that letter to the President directly. And of course, for us, vivid example could be if, for example, you want to know how much is being spent on sport, for example, like Leon Stars is currently traveling to, play friendly out of Sierra Leone. So if you really want to know how much was spent, on the national team, you direct that letter to the Ministry of Sport, because they are directly responsible. And of course, we all know that the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice provided, oversight, especially, the legal framework also for the establishment of the commissions of inquiry. So that, firstly, I think, on behalf of the government, he got it wrong there, first of all. And of course, this government will not shy away from, coming out, to the public and telling the public what was spent, So I urge Charles Magai to actually redirect his letter, or readdress it to the appropriate, authority, and we'll take it from there. But as a government, and of course, we all know that we have predicated our focus on the fight against corruption, and that is visible in the country at the moment. And of course, we've all seen the significance, and of course, what has been unearthed by the establishment of the commissions of inquiry. People constructing houses that were far, far, far that outweighs the cost of those houses, outweighs, their earnings during the period they serve, you understand? And even some even deny their houses. So we've seen the necessity, because for us as a government, we think it's high time we actually draw the line on the fight against corruption, because, if for more than 58 years or 59 years now, we have not been able to provide our people clean drinking water to drink. We have not been able to actually ensure that we have clean, good road network. We have not been able to ensure that we electrify this country. A country of 7 million people. We think it's as a result of corruption. And mind you, mark you, the significance of this particular, strive to ensure that we actually curb out corruption or minimize it to its lowest ebb should actually send a signal to those serving, authority, those that are currently serving in positions at the moment. Because naturally, nobody will remain in power forever. And even the president, on the day of the launch of the white paper and the report, he actually granted an interview on BBC. He said, I know for sure that one day I'll have to be asked to actually account for my stewardship. So nobody should see this, as, a means of, all the...
As we've seen such requests now coming up right in the middle, in his term now, someone like Charles Francis Magai, requesting that such records be provided. Will the Office of the President, or as you are seated here now as a member of the Strategic Communications Unit, will you respond now formally to Charles Magai as he sent a letter? Would you respond to him formally to say he needs to redirect his request to the Attorney General's office?
Well, I think he should actually know that, he should have actually directed that particular letter to,
No, but the letter has now come to the Office of the President.
So until that is done, and also Lawrence made reference to the Right to Access Information, Act. You understand? It also falls within the remit of every citizen to actually ask for such information. So all he needs to do is to ensure that he addressed the letter to the appropriate authority. I think that is the government position for now.
So as of now, there would be no formal response from the Office of the President
I think,
to say,
he should actually address the letter to the appropriate authority.
Let's have a clarification on that. Now, the President is the fountain of honor.
Correct.
He is the head that carries the crown.
Correct.
And he bears the greatest responsibility of this government.
Correct.
And the Office of the Attorney General will definitely not do anything without seeking the approval of the President, the Commander-in-Chief. So the President is actually in charge, and he knows exactly how much was spent because he approved it.
The problem is, we have delegated responsibilities in governance. You understand? So, for example, you have ministries, government will create ministries and put people in charge. You understand? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the President because the President signed or a bill for the establishment of such institution. So anything you have to go to the President. That is why do you establish those institutions? So you have delegated responsibility. The office of the Attorney General is there, of course, provided for by the Constitution of this country. So for me, I think nothing should preclude anybody to address letters of query or concerns to the appropriate authority. And when once
just out of curiosity, would Sierra Leonean or Charles Magai be safe enough to say perhaps the Office of the Attorney General has failed to actually come out even before the request was made, because this government is implementing the proactive disclosure of information by the right to access. Why wait, in fact, in the first place until Charles Magai, who's a politician, remember, and he served as the Attorney General of this country, which many people would argue he knows better who to address the letter to?
Well, that's why I said from government, we think, the letter should have been addressed to the Office of the Attorney General, because they were directly providing oversight for the commissions of inquiry, and of course, they led the foundation, to the establishment and all of that. You understand? Over and beyond that, we also think that, yes, indeed, it falls within the remit of every Sierra Leonean to ask the Right to Access Information Commission. However, though, of course, the report was presented on the 24th of last month, isn't it? So we still have time for the AG, possibly, to actually come out to the public with regards to how much was spent on the commissions of inquiry. There is nothing wrong, though, like I stated earlier, for Charles Magai to have actually, written to the appropriate authority requesting for on the commissions of inquiry. There is nothing wrong with that, you understand? However, it is prudent for him to actually address the letter to the appropriate authority, and in this case, it's to the office of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, because the president was not there day-to-day, managing the day-to-day affairs, you understand, of the commissions, but the office of the Attorney General. It started off with Priscilla Schwartz.
Is this a way of saying the president does not know how much was expended?
The president, it doesn't have anything to do with, whether the president know or does not know, you understand? What it does is for, those that are currently serving or those that are holding positions should actually be put to test by requesting for the right information from the right authority.
All right. Go ahead.
I just want to seek Lawrence's opinion on this, on whether Charles Magai's request has been addressed to the right authority. The communications person here for the government is saying that the letter should have been addressed to the Attorney General, and someone like Charles Magai, who has served in that position, obviously knows the functions of that office. So could he have had a reason to address the letter directly to the president, or is his letter properly addressed in your opinion?
I think my brother is trying to trivialize the whole issue. To whom the letter is addressed to is not of significant concern as to the issue itself. The issues highlighted in the letter are of utmost concern to members of the public. Probably, Bar's opinion on this subject as to who the letter is addressed to, the president in this case, might be quite different from the view or legal opinion or expressions of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Charles Magai is a constitutional lawyer. And I think, in my opinion, whether he is right to address the letter to the president or not is inconsequential to this debate. For me, even if the president, as an individual, does not bear responsibility to respond to Charles Francis Magai, the office of the president does. You have the chief minister and others. What you do in such instances, let's say even if Lawrence Williams is requesting for information under the right to access information law, and I wrongly address the letter to an entity, what that entity does or is supposed to do is to minute that letter and refer me to the appropriate authority that has the information I'm requesting for.
Well, I asked Elba here whether the office of the president has any plans to respond formally to Charles Magai and refer him to the Attorney General, but it seems that that decision is not even on the plate.
Well, so far, it's, you just can't, say that government is going to respond to such a letter. What I know for sure, and what I know that it is government position for now, is that letter should have been addressed to the office of the Attorney General.
It should have
whether
been,
or not
but
it's going to be, whether or not the
what,
letter is
what the
going
matter
to,
is now is that the letter has reached the office of the president.
I think, we have to have respect for institutions in this country. The problem, what that does is that every other citizen will just wake up one morning and start, be sending letters to the president for clarifications, clarifications for which institutions have been established for. You understand? So I think there's nothing wrong, let me state that, you understand, it does not seek to actually reduce or take the steam off this particular debate or the issue of accountability for the people to know. You understand? All what we are saying is that let him address the letter to the office of the Attorney General and see what comes out of that. That is simple.
You can.
Go ahead, Lawrence, before we get to Solomon.
The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Minister of Finance are copied. So in other words, they have been notified that this person is requesting for this particular information. Having been notified and having been copied or are in receipt of copy of that particular letter, I think the Attorney General in his capacity as legal advisor, primary legal advisor to the government and the president, should actually advise government to now come out and say, let's open up. For me, if the government actually wants to be transparent with this whole process, they would, except otherwise.
Lawrence, we'll not delve into the legalities or the legal things Charles Francis Magai raised in the letter. But the fact that he is requesting for the publication of the monies that were expended in the process of running the commissions of inquiry. And the government is saying, well, so to speak, correct me if I'm wrong, we will not countenance this because it was wrongly addressed. So, he wrongly addressed the letter to the president. But here is what it is. The president is the head of state. Now, in a normal society, what would you do? The president has been addressed, and he has now the responsibility to say, okay, let me delegate responsibility to the Minister of Justice or Attorney General who supervised the process to come out with that figure. Is that too difficult to ask for?
No, can I come in this? Let me just...
You are the defender here. We have the attackers. Let them attack.
Let me just assist my brother. I think the missing link here is government, the structure of government, the head of government is the executive. For me, what Charles Magai does, like what my brother said, he must have been copied the Ministry of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Finance. So what my brother here will say, I don't want us to be fighting back, you know, for what we saw during the past administration. When something comes up, you will come up and defend, you understand? Get it right. Let me come. Get it right. The Charles Magai is a political head, mark you, right? And it's a senior citizen. If he directed any letter to the president, I think it behoves the president or the secretary to the president to minute that letter to the person who is concerned. My point here is, I'm not saying we should not respect institution. That is why I always say, let's separate the people and, systems and the people. By doing so, I think we will come up with clear mind, because the fight against corruption here, we don't want people to see this fight as what people allege as a witch hunting, right? So if we, as you said, it's good for this administration now, they should learn from the past, that it should not be coming up and counter everything which will be in your favor. Just look at it, you understand, and say, okay, we have made a mistake, right? I'm saying, let's look at it, just like what Sam said. This thing's supposed to be out now, because if you are fighting corruption, and your prime objective is corruption fight, come out and say, this is what we spent, or we are about to publish what was spent. So for me, I see no reason for you to defend. Don't defend. Don't say.
Let him have a bite. Go ahead.
It's not much of, about defending. You understand? Let me just say this. You understand, Samuel? When you address a letter, procedurally, you understand, or administratively, when you address a letter to Samuel, for example, and copy Remy at AYV, Remy is copied just for his attention, but not to act on it. You understand? You are copied for your attention.
Sure.
So there's a very huge distinction between addressing a letter to somebody and copying a letter, so we should get that clear.
So the president should
So in this instance, we are saying that the office, nothing should have actually precluded him from addressing a letter to the appropriate authority. For example, you understand? That is the reason why those offices are established, to respond to people on behalf of the president.
Is that sufficient reason for government to respond to the issue of publish, because like you said, you predicated...
It's going to happen, you understand? With the commission, it just ended. When was the report published? The white paper, you understand? So we still have time. So nobody is saying that the report is not going to be published, or how much was spent on the report is not going to be published. All what government is saying, the letter should have been addressed to the correct authority. Period. You understand? And wait and see what unfolds. So, and you are talking about, coming here to defend.
But
this government
the
has a
government
record
saying,
of being transparent to donor funds.
If the government is saying the letter should have been addressed to the Attorney General, it is in essence saying that it is not its responsibility to respond to the letter. If government is saying the letter, the questions Charles Magai is asking, or the letter should have been directed to the Attorney General, what the Office of the President is saying is that we are not going to respond to this because these questions are not meant to be directed at us. So that's why I asked you the question in the first place. Would the Office of the President then refer Charles Magai in, formally and say, you have asked these questions, we are fighting corruption, but I'm asking you, what's the position of the government?
No,
you're only saying that the letter should
have reiterated that a dozen times. The position of the government is that the letter was wrongly addressed. You understand?
So the question is...
The question, of whether that government is going to respond to Charles Magai, that's, I cannot say for now, but our own position is that the letter should have been addressed. And that is not to say if the letter is addressed to the AG, no response will be given, or Charles Magai will not get what he asked for. You understand? So it's just simple like that.
So it is safe to say at this point that Charles Magai will continue to stay where he is until apparently he does what you consider to be the right.
Address the letter to the Office of the Attorney General.
Okay, Lawrence, I asked the question. You can have a bite on that. Whether or not this is a sufficient reason for the government not to respond, if at all, Charles Magai wrongly directed the letter. I mean, because we all expect him to know better. He served as Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
Samuel, I've said it before in my initial submission, that the issue about who the letter is addressed to, whether the letter is wrongly addressed to the President, is inconsequential to these debates. It's not necessary. It's not whole water. Not boto bata. So what I'm saying, in such instance, let's take Bar's submission, for example, talking about procedurally or administratively. When you receive such communication, what do? You acknowledge receipt of the correspondence, and in so doing, if the letter is not properly addressed, you now redirect. That advise you to what? To address the letter to X, Y, Z, and what. So you need to first acknowledge receipt of the correspondence.
Don't worry, that is our position. It will come out definitely.
But let's forget about who the letter is addressed to. Let's take the President out of the picture. Probably they seem to actually think that this thing somehow embarrasses the President.
No.
The issue is about accountability.
Sure.
So let's deal with the issue and forget about the President as an individual. Yeah? I'm coming. You mentioned that this government prides itself in accountability.
Correct. And it is visible.
Whether it's visible or not,
it is.
It's a thing that should actually be put under scrutiny.
No, but
I'm coming.
There are several references.
My point here is a government that prides itself on accountability and transparency should not shy away.
No, we are not shying. Nobody's
from
saying
accountability probe.
I'm coming. On the commissions.
The government should not shy away from accountability probe.
Maybe they're just a code bitcoin. Nobody's saying that.
The COI, we supported the COI process. Even when the report, the white paper, came out, we are supporting the lawful and constitutional implementation of the COI.
The President retweeted
and that is to say that those individuals whom adverse findings are being made against should be given the fair opportunity to appeal.
Correct.
And that process must be open, fair, transparent.
I actually want to restrict the
I'm coming. I'm just laying the basis. I'm just laying the basis.
The legality of the constitution, establishment of the commissions. And
the purpose for which the commissions of inquiry were set up, among others, was to actually hold or examine whether persons of interest
or those who served
in the previous administration
as president
converted state funds or state resources into their personal use, was to actually determine whether they acted in good faith during their time in office,
and that determination
whether they could account for good stewardship. So that same process that held those people to account should in itself be accountable.
Sure.
In the sense that
nobody's saying
to support what my
I'm
brother is saying here, you understand?
Let him land.
Let him finish.
That person should be accountable in the sense that people want to know how much, because some of the findings, when you look at the reports, some of the individuals indicted by the report, were indicted because they collected pay. They were overpaid.
Yeah, over bloated contracts.
Businesses,
sure.
Farms, legal farms, according to the report. So if you say those individuals were overpaid, right? Now we had several state prosecutors. That's one big question Charles Magai is asking. How much did you pay those guys?
No, but nobody's saying we are not going to tell the public.
Well, so why is government seem to be adversarial?
No, we are not adverse to the letter or the content of the letter. We are a government that prides itself on accountability, like you reiterated earlier on. You understand? If you look at our record so far in the last 2.5 years, everything that has to do with donor funding, contributions to this country is being published through Ministry of Finance. If you look at the way the contributions to the COVID-19 fight, you understand? Every now and then, a special account was published. I'm coming.
No, the
COVID-19.
Okay. Let him land quickly.
There's a big question mark there.
Listen. I'm coming.
There's a big question mark there.
Hold on, Lawrence.
To suggest or even insinuate that we will not actually publish how much was spent on the commission is also it's also disingenuous.
Is the time based?
No, listen. The time based. When was the report published?
No,
okay.
The report was published on the 24th of October.
Doesn't it seem some type of way
September.
When instead of responding to Francis Magai formally, redirecting him or referring him to the Attorney General's office, instead of doing that, the government is now coming out on the media saying that Charles Magai needs to, redirect his letter.
Honestly, that is exactly what should have been done.
You guys are trivializing the issue.
So can you not put that in a formally written letter and refer Charles Magai
when did Charles Magai wrote to the president?
It's been about 2 days now.
The 6th.
So it is possible that the president will respond to him. But our position is that he should have actually addressed the letter to the office of the Attorney General.
So there comes the issue where we are standing now.
No,
my brother here,
gentlemen,
what are we advised?
The president did not manage the affairs of
let us accept that this is the new direction.
And the new direction. That's why things should be done procedurally.
Thank you very much. And therefore, don't take us back. If you take us back, it will not good.
And so by procedure,
for us to be defending everything that we come up,
if the letter has come to the wrong office, by procedure, that office should then minute the letter and refer the person
There's a
addressing the
possibility of that
letter.
happening.
And I think Charles Magai is making this call. It's for the government to be on the
There is a
foot.
possibility of that happening, but our position is, you understand, this does not suggest that government is not going to publish how much was spent on the COI report, or look into, maybe you don't even know. We don't just want to be gone. I quote, you understand? Let us wait and see. We have done that severally, publishing statements and publishing finances of activities that we have undertaken. It's common, it's synonymous with this government. It's clear. So the COI will definitely not be an exception.
Okay.
All what I'm saying, please, I'm appealing to you guys and those that are watching, that this government will definitely reach there, and all
we have to wait,
spent
all right.
on the commissions of our
continue to stay with us, Mohamed Elba, and
as we round up this conversation now, we have a few minutes to close the program. Now, what would you advise the Office of the President to do now to respond to this situation? We've heard the comments on Facebook. Some people think this is the right move by Charles Magai to ask these questions, and some are saying it's also the responsibility of the government to put out such information, as the communications person has also endorsed that decision.
I think, in my own view, what I would say is a crying call for the government, and in as much as the government's premise is on accountability, fighting corruption, and everybody wants to give them the kudos. But if you're lacking on certain issues, if you neglect your own responsibility and somebody try to remind you, I don't think we should take offense of that. What I will advise them is for the Office of the President to redirect that letter to the Attorney General or authorities who are concerned, so that people will see the fights. You understand that it should not be the other way around, as people used to say, is witch hunting. That's what Chasmaga is doing. That this government, people should not look at them as, people who are just selecting people, you understand? Right. But to see the fight as collective fight. I think that's the way, that's what Chasmaga is bringing up.
And Bob?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just conclude by saying that, it is the right of every citizen to ask for information, because the monies that are spent are public funds, you understand? And of course, this government will never shy away from disclosing, its activities, financial-wise or otherwise, to members of the public. We have done that before and will continue to do that. All what we are saying at the moment is that the letter should have been addressed to the appropriate authority, and in this case, is the Office of the Attorney General, because the government by itself will not have established that the Commission of Inquiry without, the Office of the Attorney advising and also ensuring that they provide oversight and monitoring mechanism, because they are dealing with the Commission's day-to-day, you understand? So address the letter to the appropriate authority, and that also does not preclude the government that we are not going to report to the public.
Okay. All right. And Williams, your final submission in the program.
Yes. My point, I'll keep saying that the issues being addressed are of governance accountability, and of course I'll give this government credit for setting or laying the foundation for governance accountability. Holding the previous government accountable is a rare occurrence in Sierra Leone. But mind you, they also should be open, transparent, and accountable to the people of this country. And their failure to be accountable will actually be disastrous in post-Mada Commission of Inquiry.
La la la, this now we are. Na 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 na. Hey, anytime when I will turn to you for letting you be accountable, it can difficult so.
You the doubt, waiting make at the doubt. You able to pick up inside this discussion the things them where they play inside there. Surprising for make you see the present government inside we are. Now that they ask the former government inside we are for give an account of waiting that we don't notice so. And the former caretaker, when Ernest Koroma, when they go ask you, now inabi the caretaker at that moment. So if they ask them for me a gear account, now Charles Magai come and ask the present caretaker now we are for say make the gear account of the money where they don't spend inside the same inquiry where we did actually 8% today. Other person come and say he not supposed for ask the caretaker. Now other person responsible for that. My question is that if they talk so waiting make they self not go ask other people them when we they behind the former caretaker for me they give an account of what will happen when they go straight for go ask the former caretaker.
One of the things they say that they investigate the former caretaker because he give executive order them for commit some corruption things there. Now the caretaker now they under pressure now. Now they ask the same question to this caretaker. He say no, we get structure, we forgo by the structure.
No, excuse me, I'm not cutting you off. Who that signed the document?
Now the caretaker. But they say no, not only for us. Then they ask them to the general office. When we say they get structure where everybody responsible for different things there, not to the caretaker. So if that's not the thing, why did they ask the first time caretaker?
Now help me for answer this question.
Right down section. But before we have last time I said the interview will not be light at all on Thursday, and we don't know which time they will do the interview. Yeah, and well, anti-corruption commissioner they end up for withdraw a mandate for McKinney and can go back and
Patrick Sandy, when the Director of Public Education and Outreach, now the Anti-Corruption Commission. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning to listeners of Radio 98. point 1, Radio Democracy.
So start with Mr. Sandy. Start for tell we for waiting the Anti-Corruption Commission make up of the whole situation yesterday. Na Makeni as una be one for go interview first time President Dr. Ernest Koroma.
Yes, actually we not make good of it at all as to what happened, because we all know say we don't begin this thing since last week when we send the summons, and then we also get engagement with the lawyers when we push the date to Thursday yesterday. With Team Dengona McKinney, we've been there in engagement with the lawyers. They did very well. Negotiations be they go on. For initially the interview take place in our offices, in Mena Hills, but then that had to change. For we go now at the house, but it also did not work because you been get people there in the street, irate youths, roadblocks, etc., etc. So in effect, we not be for don't go in that kind of situation because of the safety of the personnel. So we not go ahead at all with the interview. Now then they happen, and we all good no say not to a very good situation at all for accountability.
So the Anti-Corruption Commission at this stage regrets wanna be even dialogue with the lawyer them of former president as to Usai forbid the venue for the interview, taking into consideration on a security where you say wanna be make mention of?
No, this is not about regret. This is about at least engaging with people in situations like this. Because by the nature of we work, anti-corruption, they work with lawyers on the side of the client. So we not go say, no, we not go engage. And waiting ever come out at this point, we not go say, nah, regret. Because we've been quite assured that everything will fall in place. But then, as they follow the discussions, we also see how the Sierra Leone police and the security forces, they act quite professionally, and then be the advice we as things they go by. So we therefore commend them a lot. And also, when we see the situation, they go at such a point, the commissioner too just advised that we de-escalate, because we go able for members say, in the very recent past, something don't happen at McKinney when they go for take generator, and a whole lot of issues be there around human rights, McKinney Lives Matter, etc., etc. So we see and say such a situation not for happen. We need for de-escalate, we disengage, and come back, if you like, to the drawing board, review, and then we see say we go in again and get the interview done.
Looking at legality in this whole issue, the Anti-Corruption Commission Act give una pass say somebody wey una dey investigate for always making self available and people not for interfere with the work where ACC they do, where una they do una investigations. Waiting go get for happen where we see this kind of thing happen yesterday and una not able for go interview the person where una be one go interview.
Yes, you will realize that this is a different way of obstruction in itself, because you get people they do roadblocks and things like that. So as I don't say already, the security people would have taken the action, but we all said no. And so we now they review the situation, as I don't say, and see what thing will be with next steps.
All right, we get information also say where on been go yesterday, although some young people and be there will be they stop people not for get access to the former president in Oath. We also get information say the legal representative them of the former president be offer for escort the ACC inside for let them una go able for go do the interview. How true this be?
Well, what didn't happen exactly, as I don't say, we've been there in discussions with the legal team, the officer. But if you also bear in mind that the security of we staff then will be guaranteed by state security. So the emphasis was that we forget we man them accompanied by the state security, and the state security need for advise we. Now the more we be need for rely on for provide security for we. Once that could not happen, we definitely not be assured of security and we cannot go in. So we need for be clear on waiting to happen. And Anti-Corruption Commission is a state institution with security rests squarely in the hands of state security, and they have to advise us. Even whatever we did do, we did seek the advice, and then they tell we let's go this way. And therefore, if they not tell we waiting for do, we not go do one, because with security not in our hands, it in other hands.
Them being refused or then self not be able to get access for go inside the former president's in compound?
No, now they tell you when the discussions be happen, there was every need for let the security then therefore go along with the ACC staff in the residence of the president. But that discussion did not be yielded any fruit. Now that's how they say.
All right, so waiting at the next step now where the dates one have been scheduled don't pass and one are not able to do the interview at all.
Oh, definitely we get for, as I say, review. So we get for engage and then get another date for let the interview be rescheduled. And we see how we go about them.
But this not in any way go make the ACC fear or do not want for continue the investigation again?
Not at all. The ACC, we are determined, we are resolved, we are committed to this cause. So we didn't make we afraid or do anything. That's why we are just very careful, we are professional, and we want to make sure, say, whatever we do, also do within the law, and no lives at least will be lost.
So now whose message you left with listeners and especially where when I go get for reschedule this same interview?
Well, the message is clear. Let family they know say, the youths they know say, corruption don't hold this country to ransom for a very long time. We present state of affairs in terms of the non-availability of basic social amenities that as a result of corruption. And if we try for stand in the way of an institution we mandated by law for able bring about integrity, accountability, and transparency within the governance space, I think say we are misguided. So let us all reason with the ACC that everything we do now for push or advance the cause of development through which we fight corruption. Otherwise, we state of affairs go day as it is and it not will be improved. It is not about anything otherwise. It is about making sure that we better the lives of Sierra Leoneans through the fight against corruption. So we encourage everybody, just as we do in public education and outreach programs. Let us come together for deal with this problem of corruption. Otherwise, things not go improve in Sierra Leone.
All right. Many thanks to you, Patrick Sandy, Director of Public Education and Outreach at the Anti-Corruption Commission, for that update that you give us. According to them, after all the incidents we happened yesterday in McKinney, then they go for review now and go get for a schedule. Another interview date for first-time President Dr. Ernest Koroma as the commission. Then we don't tell we early this week say they investigate them. They don't open 18 files them against former presidents where they want to make it answer questions to the commission as to waiting be happen for sake of waiting the investigate them.
Well, until they get for tell me back when they will get for interview former caretaker, we still wait and see. But we hope say we people them when I go relax small and then we take and say nothing will happen. And first thing caretaker, please, I want to tell you say anytime when anything they happen, come out and talk to the people. Not say you trust people say, but talk to the people and say let them relax more. And not say the people they not trust the police them. But we see how they display yesterday. Very professional police there yesterday for the first time of their life. Not for the first time of their life, police.
Yes. Waiting display yesterday from the police. That don't tell you see all the bad things them where we police them now we are they do. They mean them and they get people them where they command them for do them.
Oh, that's from above. You know what you make you are confirmed because they say the lawyer say the former caretaker they talk to the IG, they talk to other people, and so now they tell them voice and say on a pipe down and on a go.
Well, you see, and quick one, the mother before they go. As we all day now we are, they see what they happen for the white paper. You know say that we don't ban people there where they name the now the white paper say they're not for trouble from the former government. We believe say now they don't ask people again where they work for this present government say they name them at the white paper, make them drop their file from the office and stoop down force for the movement. So I just believe say they say they don't document, therefore hold them, they're not for good side.
Yeah, that's the same. And finally, I want to let from out this video and let me tell what I think about this guy. This is one of the hungry lion them in our state house, as he call himself. waiting until you think about that. Let you comment down for me in our comment section. And what you think say them for doing this kind of person. Let you comment down for me in the comment section. I think say we need to pull out.
Yes, but I know we call this man mortal person, not a mortal. The man say in a lion.
Oh, I'm hungry lion. Okay, how do I call this animal?
Not the right one.
Okay, hungry animal. Right. Until we meet again, my name is Ali, okay? Stay blessed, stay connected.
And me, not Justin, but still, not forget, rain season, don't they go now we are. Do ya, that first advice we always have to give you. Still look into for save your life and save your family in life. Until we meet again in the next program, now stay blessed. I love you all.
The return of Hungry Lion, Toke Binde out of control. Toke Binde out of control, me commander the Sidon and dream and fit say, now Hungry Lion for go there and put them under control. And I don't go Toke, I don't put Toke there under control. I believe say they don't begin take the order of the government. Yeah, because they're not been use face mark, they're not been they avoid the overload. But from where I go there, put the Toke under control. The picking there under age not for sale. For now, I don't carry cyber. Yeah, we do start State House now. For any amalgaments around the peninsula, I can go there back. I go warm up there, I carry inside. Now I don't carry State House. For any amalgaments, for anybody when you name them on the white paper, if I can't give account. If you say you know they give account, you know they come, you don't match the lion tail. And if you match the lion tail, oh man, I go rough you. Bad one. Hungry Lion representing the corner people under the new direction. Back to State House.
Yes, subscribe. You always dey watch we program them, but you not subscribe yet to the channel. All wetin you get for do, press this red subscribe button, and then you come over here and press this bell. To the bell option, press this one with all. It don't done. It no get for cost you anything. When you do this, na sign for show say you dey support we for make we do more. Thank you for we don help we for share this program. Yeah, God bless you.